I hid my identity as the only son of the world's richest man and had a pure love with a wealthy heiress. Just as I was about to reveal my identity to her, I overheard her group of close friends speaking a foreign language right in front of me. "You're about to go home for an arranged marriage. So what about this little boyfriend you're dating? Have you broken up yet?" Wan Shuang gently swirled the wine glass in her hand. "We're not breaking up. I really like him, but his family is too poor. He's not presentable. The arranged marriage is just to appease my family. He is my true love. When the time comes, it'll just hide him. It'll be fine to keep him on the side." They spoke so openly without any restraint, only because they thought my family was poor and that I didn't understand the foreign language. I didn't tell them that I actually understood it, so it turns out, while she was making vows of eternal love to me, she had already accepted her family's arranged marriage. I made an excuse to go to the restroom. Once outside, I immediately called home. "Mom, Dad, I've thought it through. I agree to come home and inherit the family fortune." Hearing that their son finally agreed, my parents on the other end of the line were overjoyed. Remembering the girlfriend I was dating while hiding my identity, they couldn't help but ask, "Is that girlfriend of yours coming back with you?" "She won't be. I am planning to break up with her." My voice unconsciously dropped a little. "He'll have everything here sorted out in a week." After a few more words, I hung up. I put my phone away and returned to the private room. The noise in the room suddenly stopped for a moment when I pushed the door open, but I acted as if I hadn't noticed anything. I walked straight to Wan Shuang's side and sat down. She turned her attention away from the conversation and looked at me sitting quietly beside her. "He, what call took you so long?" Before I could even open my mouth, I was cut off by another voice. "There isn't a single foreigner here," but that person spoke in a foreign language. "Sister Wan Shuang, when are you and Jiang Wubai planning to get married?" Hearing this, my hand holding the glass tightened slightly, but Wan Shuang maintained that indifferent expression. After glancing at me, she answered the question in the foreign language. "The date set by the family is in half a month." Hearing this, everyone present turned to look at me in unison. One of the close friends asked with a hint of curiosity, "If you marry Jiang Wubai, what will happen to Gu X Sing He? Have you broken up yet?" Wan Shuang shook her head. She took a sip of wine before continuing. "The marriage is just to appease my family. The only one I like is Gu X Sing He." As soon as she said this, a wave of laughter erupted in the room. Everyone's teasing remarks rang out incessantly. "Sister Wan Shuang, why are you still playing this pure love game? With such a huge difference in status, are you really serious about him?" She turned her head to look at me. The tenderness and love in her eyes were so thick, they could almost melt. Without saying a word, she answered the question perfectly. Someone looked at her love-struck appearance and clicked their tongue in admiration. "Looks like it's real love. But then again, does he really not understand the foreign language?" That person had just been asking casually. Who knew that when the others heard her question, they all burst out laughing. "Ug Xing, he is poor. How could he have the money to learn a second language?" "Don't worry. He definitely doesn't understand." Everyone's mocking laughter echoed in my ears. No one noticed that my breathing beside them had become a little ragged. My hand clutching the wine glass had long turned my knuckles white. I didn't tell them that I actually understood the foreign language. After all, I wasn't some poor kid with no money. I was the only son of the world's richest family. We'd been together for 5 years, and Wan Shuang treated me very well. The only thing was, she never introduced me to her family. At first, I thought she was just worried about our difference in status. After all, the Yi family was a famous, prestigious family in Haicheng, so I had already made plans to reveal my identity to her. I am the only son of the richest man. I just didn't want to live forever under my parents' protective wings, so I decided to hide my identity and go out to gain experience. But the timing was such a coincidence. 3 days ago, I saw in her study a red wedding invitation. The groom was the young master of the Jiang family, and the bride was Wan Shuang. It turned out that while she and I were passionately in love, she had already accepted her family's arranged marriage. It turned out she was coaxing me, calling me her husband, while also busy marrying someone of equal social standing, and who was recognized by her family as her husband. At that moment, I suddenly felt there was nothing more to say. From now on, she'll get married, and I'll go inherit my family's business. We both have bright futures ahead of us. After 3 rounds of drinks, everyone had a good time talking. The sky was getting dark, so the party broke up and prepared to leave. I walked out of the private room behind everyone else. After taking just a few steps, I heard an unfamiliar voice call out from behind, "Young Master Gu." I stopped and turned around. Only then did I realize the person calling me was a former business partner who was always begging my father for a collaboration. I couldn't help but sigh internally. I didn't want to expose my identity. I was thinking of a way to smooth things over. One of the girlfriends walking behind Wan Shuang looked me up and down, then let out a scornful laugh. "What, young master? Gug Sing He, the clothes he's wearing? Do they even add up to more than 300 yuan? How could he possibly be a young master? What a huge joke." These words immediately triggered a round of mocking laughter. They weren't speaking a foreign language. I heard their mockery clearly, but my face showed no expression. On the contrary, Wan Shuang got angry. She shot that person a cold, warning look. That person, feeling a bit deflated, restrained themselves, and no longer laughed so carelessly. The others, After receiving the warning look, also gradually quieted down, their voices lowering. That person didn't follow. I walked behind Wan Shuang. Neither of us said anything on the way home. When we got home, she changed her shoes and then suddenly spoke. I won't take you to gatherings like that anymore. My expression remained calm. Even though I was being indirectly kicked out of her circle of friends, there was no change at all. I just opened my mouth and asked one question. Is it because you think I am embarrassing you? She laughed, about to give me a hug, but I dodged it. She had no choice but to explain. What are you thinking? I just don't want you to feel wronged. But our statuses are different. Sooner or later, we'll have to face this situation. Isn't your family pushing you into an arranged marriage? I looked at her, trying to find a hint of guilt in her expression. But even after hearing the word alliance, Wan Shuang's expression only stiffened for a moment. It quickly returned to normal. Xing he, you just need to know that the person I love is you. That's enough. As for other matters, I will find a way to solve them. If I hadn't looked closely, I really wouldn't have noticed anything unusual about her. After speaking, Wan Shuang went into the bathroom to wash her face. Watching her back as she left, I said nothing. But I couldn't help but think, your so-called solution, is it to follow your family's advice, marry one person, and keep another on the side? Not far away. A message notification sounded from the bedside table. It was Wan Shuang's phone. She had never hidden her password from me. I easily unlocked her phone and went to the messages to take a look. It was from Jiang Wubei. Wan Shuang, we have to meet both sets of parents tomorrow. If you don't stay here tonight, will the elders find out we're faking our marriage? I know the one you love is your boyfriend. But, at least for these few days, can you give me some face? Although his words seemed humble, I could see through his intentions. At first, he used the excuse of their parents to beg her to live with him. And what about later? He would just keep using this excuse, step by step, becoming more and more demanding. But this no longer had anything to do with me. I had already decided to leave. Thinking this, I marked the message as unread and put the phone back where it was. Not long after, Wan Shuang came out after washing her face. She casually picked up her phone to take a look. The next second, she looked at me apologetically. Dixing he, something urgent came up at the company and I need to go over. I won't be back tonight. You should get some good rest at home. She left in a hurry, not waiting to see my reaction, nor did she notice that I always used to see her to the door and complain to her, hoping she could spend more time with me. But this time, I didn't try to hold her back at all, watching her figure retreat further and further away. Ding. Not long after Wan Shuang left, my phone also received a message. If I just say the word, Wan Shuang will still come to me. We're meeting the parents tomorrow. Once we're actually married, what the hell will you be? A lover who can't be seen in the light? Jiang Wubei's words were harsh. But what upset me more was that this knife that someone else was using to hurt me, he was personally handed to them by the girlfriend I once thought I could be with for a lifetime. Wan Shuang probably didn't know that even if I hadn't found that invitation, the fact that she was marrying someone else couldn't have been hidden from me for long, because the day after I found the invitation, Jiang Wu Bai had already added me as a friend. And for the past few days, he had been constantly sending me all sorts of provocative photos. There were photos of Wan Shuang trying on wedding dresses with Jiang Wu Bai. There were photos of them choosing diamond rings together. There were photos of them looking at wedding venues together. One photo after another, they had completely destroyed all the love I had for Wan Shuang. That night, Wan Shuang didn't come home. I didn't pay any mind to it. After waking up the next day, I went straight to the company to resign. I completed the resignation procedures on the same day. During the lunch break, my colleagues and I had a meal downstairs. After hearing that I had completed my resignation, a colleague I was closer with couldn't help but joke. Lately, I've been seeing videos about colleagues who suddenly quit their jobs to go home and inherit the family business. Xing he, you're quitting so decisively. You're not also going home to inherit the family business, are you? My colleague was just joking, but I nodded lightly. That's right. I am about to go back and inherit the family business. Everyone was stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing. They just took it as a joke and paid it no mind. I smiled and didn't explain further. After lunch, I packed my belongings into a box and carried the box home. When I got back, Wan Shuang happened to be home. Seeing me return with a box, she felt a little strange. You quit your job? I nodded. I carried the box towards the bedroom, but her brows furrowed tightly. She called out to stop me. Didn't you really like this job? Why did you suddenly quit? I stopped in my tracks. When I looked at her, a smile appeared on my face. Because I have a job, I want to do more now. Hearing me say this, Wan Shuang didn't ask any more questions. She just said, if work is too tiring, just come back. Seeing you so tired every day breaks my heart. Xing he, you should know that I can support you. I shook my head and said word by word, I am no one's dependent. Wan Shuang was stunned. What do you mean, dependent? I didn't want to hear any more. I opened my mouth to cut her off. Why are you home so early today? Aren't you going to the company? The work has been so busy lately I haven't had time to be with you. Today, I thought I'd spend time with you. After speaking, her brows relaxed. She once again became my obedient girlfriend. What do you want to do? Eat Western food or watch a movie? Whatever you want to do today, I'll do it with you. If the old me had heard these words, I would probably be incredibly moved right now. After all, I knew she was the heir to the Yi group. The amount of work she had to handle every day was truly immense. So, her willingness to spend time doing things I wanted to do could at least prove that I held a very large place in her heart. But now, as I looked at her, I couldn't help but think, is it really that work is too busy? Or is it that preparing for the wedding is too busy? How on earth did she manage to prepare for a wedding with another man, while also coaxing me, telling me that I was the only one she loved? But in the end, I still didn't expose her lies. After all, there were only a few days left. When the time comes, I will naturally disappear from her life without a trace. I shook my head, rejecting her suggestion. After thinking for a moment, I finally said, help me clean the house. There are a lot of old things in the villa. There's no point in keeping them. Wan Shuang agreed. She spent a long time cleaning with me, but as we got to the end of the cleaning, she realized that the things I was clearing out were all the matching items we had bought before. From water cups to jewelry, from clothes to slippers, I threw them all into the trash without a second thought. The smile on her face, as the number of matching items I threw away increased, also gradually stiffened, until the very last item was thrown into the trash. The panic in her heart could no longer be concealed. Xing He, have you found out something? What could I possibly know? Are you hiding something from me? I raised an eyebrow, looking at Wan Shuang, avoiding her question and asking one of my own. She turned away, not daring to look me in the eye. After a moment of silence, she still didn't answer directly. She just gripped my hand tightly and said, Xing He, no matter what happens, you just need to remember that the one I love is you. I smirked, saying nothing more. After we finished cleaning, Wan Shuang was still insistent on taking me on a date. I was afraid she would notice something was off, so I didn't refuse. She took me to dinner, to a movie. The car finally stopped at an auction house. Just as we were about to enter, we saw a man in an exquisite suit walking towards us. A hint of unnaturalness flickered across her face. I noticed it immediately. What's wrong? Did you see someone you know? As soon as I finished speaking, the man stopped in front of us and greeted us with a smile. Wan Shuang's introduction came right on time. He's the son of a close family friend, Jiang Wubai. After saying that, she paused for a moment before introducing me. This is my boyfriend, Xing He. Hearing her completely different introductions for the two of us, the smile on Jiang Wubei's face immediately froze. After a moment, he still managed to force a smile and extend his hand towards me. I've long heard that Wan Shuang's boyfriend is very handsome. Meeting you today, you certainly live up to your reputation. As they were speaking, the group of girlfriends who spoke a foreign language in front of me the other day and mocked me also approached. Out of my line of sight, they winked at Wan Shuang. Only then did I realize this encounter was not a coincidence. They had intentionally brought Jiang Wubai here. A fire of anger ignited within me. But in this situation, if I suddenly lost my temper, it would be even harder to explain. Under the circumstances, I could only suppress all my anger. At the auction, Jiang Wubei's seat was right next to Wan Shuang. Unlike his provocative texts, in person, he was knowledgeable and well-spoken. Knowing that Wan Shuang was interested in porcelain, he centered the conversation with her around this topic. Wan Shuang, too, went from her initial resistance to gradually leaning towards him, until I let out a cough. Only then did Wan Shuang remember that she had been ignoring me. She quickly said in a gentle voice, Are you bored? Xing He, I know you're not interested in these things. If there's something you like, you can just bid on it directly. I hadn't said anything yet, but the whispers from the group of girlfriends behind us started up again. Although they tried to lower their voices, since they were only one row away, I could still hear them crystal clear. Sister Wan Shuang really knows how to save face for him. So what if he's interested? He doesn't know anything. I am afraid he doesn't even know how to raise the paddle. That's right. An upper-class auction. This must be his first time. Several of them said, glancing in my direction with disdain. They called it whispering, but I felt they were intentionally saying it for me to hear. I didn't argue. After all, the next time we meet, they will have to stand before me respectfully and address me as young Master Gu. At this point, the previous item had been sold, and the next item was brought out. It was a jade sculpture called Pine and Crane Longevity. The quality was superb. Most importantly, the auctioneer's introduction claimed it was a work by Zheng Sheng, the grandmaster of jade carving. As soon as he heard this introduction, Jiang Wubei immediately got excited. He raised the bidding paddle in his hand. Wan Shuang, this piece is highly collectible. Grandma, yes. Birthday is the day after tomorrow. This would be the perfect birthday gift for her. When I heard the name Zheng Sheng, I subconsciously looked up at the item on stage. Just a single glance, and I averted my gaze. My calm voice, without a ripple of emotion, was like a bucket of cold water poured over Jiang Wubei's head. This one is a fake. Jiang Wubai looked at me in disbelief. He was about to ask what a country bumpkin like me would know, but seeing Wan Shuang sitting next to him, he suppressed his anger and said with a laugh, How did Mr. Gu figure that out? Because the real one was already given to his grandmother by young Master Gu, the son of the richest man. There's only one in the world. The real one is at his house, so the one on stage is definitely a fake. I was just giving a kind reminder. But as soon as I said it, Jiang Wubai suddenly burst out laughing. Even Yuan Shuang's group of friends behind us started laughing mockingly without restraint. If you don't know, don't pretend you do. How embarrassing. That's right. Given away by the son of the richest man? What? Were you hiding under the bed and saw it with your own eyes? Just because your last name is also Go, don't think. You can claim to be related to the great young master Gu. The crowd's mocking laughter grew louder. In the end, it was Yuan Shuang who, with a cold face, stopped their ridicule. She looked at me, took my hand. Xing he, I know you've been reading some books on appraisal recently, but appraisal skills can't be improved just from books. Wu Bei has been in and out of auction houses since he was a child, and knows a lot about jade carving. Naturally, he knows a little more than you. She didn't say anything too harsh, but in and out of her words, she clearly thought I was talking nonsense. I let out a soft laugh and said nothing. In the end, Jiang Wubai spent a full 100 million to win that jade statue at a high price. Watching the moment she went to swipe her card, I smiled. I wonder how the old lady of the Yi family would feel after learning she spent 100 million to buy a fake jade statue for her. What would she think? I didn't stop her, nor did I pay it any mind. I stood up and went to the restroom. Just as I finished washing my hands, a familiar voice came from behind me. Gug Sing. I thought I had made myself clear enough, but I didn't expect you to be so shameless as to not leave. Do you really want to be the third wheel? His voice was harsh and unpleasant, completely different from the mature, elegant rich young master from just a moment ago. I indifferently raised my eyes and turned to look at him. Mr. Jiang, I hope you understand this clearly. I was the one by her side for 5 years, the third wheel. That title doesn't belong to me, does it? After saying that, I intended to walk right past him and leave, but he wouldn't let it go, and continued to taunt me with a cold laugh. Right, together for 5 years, and she still wouldn't marry you. Have you ever wondered why? I am the heir of the Jiang family. She is the heiress of the Yi group. She and I are a perfect match in social status. And you, at home, you have a father and a sickly mother. With such a tattered family background, having nothing of what you want, how are you worthy of her? My footsteps faltered. This family background was just something I made up, but I really didn't expect that Wan Shuang would tell this to Jiang Wubai. I couldn't help but laugh self-deprecatingly. If I really had such a background, then would it be that, the boyfriend she called, the one she said she could only love, had given another man a second knife to hurt me? Truly unworthy. My heart ached, and I turned back to look at Jiang Wubai. The pent-up frustration in my heart suddenly dissipated. You two are the ones made for each other. I wish you two the best. Having said that, I started to walk away again. I hadn't been outside for long when my phone rang. It was my mother's call. Xing he, come home soon. Everyone in the family is waiting for you, and we've prepared a pile of gifts for you. Mom bought you an ancient castle abroad. Your aunt bought you a diamond watch. I heard the King of England once wore it. Your uncle, too, prepared a fleet of supercars for you. Listening to Mother Gu ramble on about the family, and how many gifts they'd prepared for my return, my face was full of resignation. I am coming home to inherit the family fortune, not to go bankrupt. Just as I finished speaking, a familiar voice came from behind. What family fortune inheritance? I froze and instinctively hung up the phone, but I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Why are all these people like this? They love to stand behind people and suddenly speak up. I turned my head and saw Wan Shuang with a not-so-good expression on her face. After a moment of contemplation, I finally offered an explanation. It's nothing. An old colleague just asked me what I planned to do after quitting, so I joked with him, saying I was going home to inherit the family fortune. Wan Shuang frowned. He's clearly not the type to joke like that. She instinctively felt something was off. Just as she was about to open her mouth, I had already taken a few steps and turned my head to call her. Are you not going? There are still some precious jewels yet to be displayed. Hearing these words, Wan Shuang thought I wanted to buy some jewelry and nodded, following me. After returning to the auction room, Wan Shuang won the bids on several of the next precious jewelry pieces at high prices. After having them wrapped up, she handed them to me. I looked at the box in my hand and said softly, I don't use these things. Wan Shuang smiled and hugged me. Get used to it from now on. You don't need to be afraid of wasting money. Buy them for you for a lifetime. My lips twitched, but in the end, I didn't say the rest of my words. I don't wear these things worth tens of millions. My jewelry collection, every piece is over 100 million. The auction was over. Everyone in the hall began to leave one by one. Wan Shuang. And our group didn't stay long either. Everyone had driven their own cars, so we just had to go our separate ways. But just as I got in the car, before it had even started, Jiang Wubai knocked on the passenger side window. The car window slowly rolled down. He looked nothing like the malicious person who was so harsh to me in the restroom earlier. Wan Shuang, my car broke down. Can you give me a ride home? Wan Shuang frowned. Just as she was about to refuse, he spoke again. Uncle and Auntie told you to take care of me. You haven't forgotten, have you? Wan Shuang's expression darkened, for some reason, but she eventually agreed. Seeing her nod directly, the smile on his face grew wider, and then he pushed his luck, looking at me. But I get carsick. What should I do if I can't sit in the back? Wan Shuang looked at me. Before she could even speak, I had already opened the car door and gotten out, moving straight to the back seat. My movements were swift and decisive. Wan Shuang didn't even have time to react. Before I was already settled in the back seat, her words were instantly caught in her throat, stuck, making it very awkward. She hesitated, wanting to speak, wanting to say it was just a seat, and that I didn't need to mind so much. But when she glanced at the back seat through the rearview mirror, I had already closed my eyes, pretending to rest. Just then, Jiang Wu Bai also got into the car. The car door closed, and seeing me resting with my eyes closed in the back, the corner of his mouth curled into a smug smile. Gug, saying he. So, what if the person she likes right now is still you? In the end, what I want, won't it still fall into my hands? Winning her heart is just a matter of time. Thinking this, Jiang Wu Bai's mood suddenly improved. When he looked at Wan Shuang, his eyes were full of gentleness. Is Mr. Gu tired? Then just let him rest for a bit. Perhaps noticing my unusual behavior, Wan Shuang didn't talk much with Jiang Wu Bai either. She just nodded and started the car in silence. I don't know when I actually fell asleep. When I woke up again, the car had stopped at the Yi family villa. Jiang Wu Bai was long gone from the car. Wan Shuang touched my face. You're awake. I saw you were sleeping so soundly. I couldn't bear to wake you. My consciousness was still a bit hazy. I nodded and opened the car door to get out. Without waiting for Wan Shuang, I walked straight towards the main gate. When Wan Shuang got out of the car, I had already reached the door. She chased after me for a few steps and blocked me at the door. Are you angry? Jiang Wu Bai is really just the son of a longtime family friend. Don't mind him. I just grunted. Wan Shuang thought I was still angry. She reached out to pull me back and reluctantly tried to coax me. He's really just the son of a longtime family friend. Darling, I only love you. You know that. After saying that, she moved forward to kiss me, but I pushed her away. Seeing the surprised look on her face, I went straight through the door. I am not feeling well. I am going to my room to rest first. After saying that, I locked the door tight, completely cutting off Wan Shuang's chance to enter the room. The next morning, in the first-floor dining room, I was having breakfast with Wan Shuang when the phone I had placed beside me suddenly rang. It was a timer alarm I had set before. The note was Meet the Parents' Day. Wan Shuang also saw those words. I had previously planned to tell her my true identity, so I suggested she come home to meet my parents, and she had agreed. The two of us looked at each other. I was thinking of a way to cancel this meeting when the next second, her phone also rang. It was a call from Jiang Wu Bai. I don't know what the person on the other end said, but her expression changed slightly when she walked back towards me. She declined the meeting with an apologetic look. Xing he. Something suddenly came up this time. Can I go meet uncle and auntie with you next time? She probably thought I would make a scene, that I would get angry. But as it turned out, I just nodded calmly. It just so happens that I also have something to do today. Not long after Wan Shuang left, I also went out to walk around the shopping mall to prepare gifts for the friends I was about to meet, one for each person. When I got to the meeting place, everyone opened their gifts. When they saw that in each box was a brand new designer item, they immediately exclaimed in shock. Teng He, where did you get all this stuff? It looks so real. They're all real. Seeing how they loved them and couldn't bear to let go, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. After explaining, I saw they all looked unconvinced, so I revealed my true identity. Actually, what I told you guys about my family background before, my parents being seriously ill, it was all fake. My real identity is the only son of the richest man. This time, saying goodbye to you all is because I have to go home to inherit the family fortune. Hearing me say that, the whole group was first stunned, then shocked, and finally, overjoyed, constantly shouting that a young master was right beside them. Their shouts almost tore the roof off the restaurant. After the cheering, someone remembered Wan Shuang and quickly asked, but if you go back, what will happen to Wan Shuang? Does she know your real identity yet? Mentioning Wan Shuang, the smile on my face faded a little. She's planning to marry someone else. How is that possible? Hearing this sentence, my friends couldn't believe it. In our eyes, she's a rare, deeply devoted person among the rich. That's right. That's right. 3 years ago you said you liked night blooming cereus, so she spent a large sum of money to buy all the night blooming cereus in the world just to get a smile from you. 2 years ago, you had the flu. She turned down $100 million contract to come back from abroad to take care of you herself, not daring to close her eyes all night. And a year ago, the car you two were in had an accident. The out-of-control truck was originally heading for you. To protect you, she tried hard to swerve. In the end, you were unharmed, but she broke 3 ribs and was in a hospital bed for 3 months, almost not waking up. Now she's getting married. How could the groom not be you? Hearing my friends recount these past events, I still felt very emotional inside. Wan Shuang back then was truly in love. Loved me, to the point of not even caring for her own life. But now, I shook my head and chuckled softly. She loves me, but her family thinks my status isn't worthy of her. I didn't even have a chance to tell the truth. Before she had already printed the wedding invitations, from what she implied, she probably wants me to be her lover after she gets married. My brothers exploded when they heard this. What? A lover? making the only son of the richest man a lover? The Yi family must be crazy. Fine. 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 There will come a time when she'll regret it, but if she finds out you're leaving secretly, and her family finds out your true identity, they'll surely go mad. Just then, Wan Shuang and Jiang Wubai walked in from outside. Hearing their words, she frowned. What true identity? Seeing them walk in together, an indignant friend. He was about to speak, but I stopped him. I looked at the two who had just entered, my expression cold. Why are you two here? Hearing my question, Wan Shuang couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Her eyes evasive. Our two families just happened to have a collaboration, so we arranged to meet and discuss it. Hearing her answer, I laughed again. Of course, I knew about their collaboration, a marriage collaboration, because they had to discuss their collaboration. Wan Shuang and Jiang Wubai didn't sit with them, but sat at a separate table nearby, not far, just close enough for me to see the intimate actions between them. For example, he helped her cut her steak. He shared his favorite food with her. He helped her get a napkin. He helped her wipe the dirty corner of her mouth. The two of them, back and forth, made my friends furious, but I remained calm. After finishing the meal, my sides gathering also ended. Wan Shuang then offered to take me and Jiang Wubai home, perhaps having learned from the previous fight over the passenger seat. This time, Wan Shuang had learned her lesson. She decisively drove her family's stretched Rolls-Royce, with a driver at the wheel. Naturally, she wouldn't be going to the passenger seat anymore. The car drove smoothly towards the Jiang family's home. The roads were clear. No one expected an accident to happen at this moment. An out-of-control truck came rushing from another direction. The driver instinctively wrenched the steering wheel, only to hear a loud crash. The two cars still inevitably collided, as the car window shattered. As I fell to the other side due to inertia, I happened to see Wan Shuang shielding Jiang Wubai beside her. Not only did she prevent him from getting hurt at all, but she also soothed his emotions. My consciousness began to fade. I suddenly remembered the accident my friends had just mentioned. It was the 4th year we were together. My feelings for her were still at their most passionate. It was also an intersection like this. Also a truck rushing at high speed. My direction was exactly where the truck was crashing into, in the midst of terror. I realized I couldn't avoid that truck. I could only force myself to turn so my side would take the impact. The front of the car caved in. She was trapped in the driver's seat. Firefighters and doctors worked together for a long time to rescue her, finally getting her out of the car. She almost died that day, but even so, when she woke up after being out of danger, the first thing she said was to ask about my safety. Now, it's a car accident again. The difference is the person she instinctively shielded is no longer me. The rear of the stretched Rolls-Royce was smashed beyond recognition, until everyone had gotten out of the car. Wan Shuang was still soothing Jiang Wubei's emotions. She finally saw me silently holding my bleeding forehead. Luckily, my injury wasn't serious. After getting it bandaged at the hospital, there were no more problems. But because of the head injury, the doctor still recommended staying in the hospital for 2 days of observation. Wan Shuang looked at the gauze on my head, her face full of guilt. I am sorry. At that time, I just thought that in a while, I have a collaboration with Jiang Wubai that we need to attend together. His face couldn't get injured, so I protected him. You can hit me or scold me. Take it. Just please don't ignore me, okay? Her attitude of admitting her mistake was incredibly sincere. The reason also seemed plausible. If I hadn't remembered their wedding, which was less than half a month away, was going to happen. I lowered my eyes and said nothing. Not saying I didn't forgive, but not saying I forgave either. From beginning to end, my expression was completely calm. Wan Shuang's apology didn't stop. She kept saying sorry, then suddenly seemed to remember something. A glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. Your birthday is in a few days. Can I give you your gift early? What birthday present do you want? I'll buy it for you. Hearing that, I finally looked up at her, but my eyes were devoid of any emotion. Then buy me a plane ticket to Shangcheng in 3 days. What for? To go to Shangcheng? She was a little surprised, but very quickly, she came up with an answer herself. Do you want to go on a trip? I didn't explain. Just nodded. Wan Shuang didn't ask any more questions, and right in front of me, she opened her phone and bought a plane ticket to Shangcheng. After buying the ticket, she said she's been busy lately and doesn't have time to go with me. You can go to Shangcheng and have fun first, when I have time. Go with you on a trip. A plane ticket is too small for a birthday gift. Make it up to you with a big surprise then. I shook my head and chuckled softly. It's not small. Not small at all. After all, this plane ticket is my way home. Wan Shuang, thank you for your gift, for personally sending me home. 2 days in the hospital. Wan Shuang seemed to have returned to how she was when we first fell in love. You could say she took the utmost care of me, but the good times didn't last. Her care ended on the day I was discharged. She said beforehand that she had work, so she had a driver take me home. Right after that, I received a taunting message from Jiang Wubei. Sorry, Wan Shuang and I are getting married soon. Today she has to go to my family home for dinner with me. I am afraid she won't have time to pick you up from the hospital. I paid no mind to this message, just went home in silence, and started packing my luggage. On the day of departure, I woke up very early, 7 hours before takeoff. I carried my suitcases out one by one, just as I ran into Wan Shuang returning. Seeing the suitcases piled up at the villa's door, her face turned pale with panic. A sense of unease suddenly rose in her heart. What's all this? Didn't you say you were going to Zicheng for fun? It's still the ticket I bought for you. Have you forgotten? My expression was nonchalant, as if I were really just preparing to go on a trip, but my words couldn't convince her. Aren't you just going for a day or two? Do you need to bring so much luggage? I smirked, bringing a few extra sets of clothes. I want to take a few more pictures, but I never liked taking pictures like this before. When we traveled together, I never brought so many things. That feeling of unease spread from her heart throughout her body, making her want to immediately open my suitcases to check, to see if it was really as I said. Just as she was about to act, she was interrupted by an urgent phone call. It was from Jiang Wubai. After answering the phone, I don't know what was said on the other end. Wan Shuang was silent for a moment, and in the end, still went out first. Before leaving, she didn't forget to remind me one more time. Don't stay out too long. Send me your return flight details then. Come pick you up. I didn't answer, because I knew I would not be coming back. This meeting is a final farewell. 5 hours before takeoff, I changed the password for the main door from my birthday to Jiang Wubai's birthday. Then I stuck a note on the door. After all, this will be Mr. Jiang's house from now on. It's better if the password is set to his birthday. 3 hours before takeoff, I found all the photos of me and Wan Shuang in the villa. I threw them into the fire basin, one by one. I held her and we kissed under the fireworks, repeatedly saying she was mine, confessing her love to me amidst the sunset and the Milky Way, vowing to love me for a lifetime. She once broke 3 ribs protecting me from a car. Her social media was all about me. We went through spring together, walked through summer, welcomed autumn, and sought through winter. Now, the memories are burning away bit by bit. We are also completely over. 2 hours before takeoff, my phone rang. I opened it to look. Jiang Wubai sent me a video. The video seemed to be of a family party. There were Wan Shuang's friends, Jiang Wubei's brothers, and the elders from both families. Many people surrounded Wan Shuang and Jiang Wubai, the 2 main characters of the event. The cheers and shouts were endless. Kiss! Kiss! I am telling you, Sister Wan Shuang, you're getting married in a few days. What's there to be shy about kissing? Amidst a round of cheers, Jiang Wubai, with a blushing face, closed his eyes and moved closer to her. The crowd's shouts grew louder, shouting for Wan Shuang to kiss him. Wan Shuang stared at the person in front of her and finally closed her eyes. The video played on repeat. When it played for the 7th time, a message from Jiang Wubai arrived. Gu Xinghe. Did you see that? I am the son-in-law acknowledged by everyone in the Yi family. Your family is dirt poor. How could the Yi family possibly think highly of you? With your family background, you're barely good enough to marry a beggar. So what if Wan Shuang loves you? I am breaking down her defenses bit by bit. First, she met the family with me. Then we lived together. And just now, she even kissed me. Tell me, how long do you think it'll be before we sleep together? I didn't reply to his message. I just silently took the provocative messages had sent these past few days, one by one, and printed them all out. I arranged them into a stack and placed it in the empty living room. 1 hour before takeoff, I left my final words on that stack of printed paper. Wan Shuang, happy wedding. We're over. After that, I dragged my suitcase and left the villa complex. I hailed a taxi and sped towards the airport. Wan Shuang, from now on, I'm going back to being the rich young master of my Chaebol family. With you, I have nothing to do anymore. Hucheng Airport. As I dragged my suitcase out of the airport, a car that looked expensive at first glance, a Bugatti, was already waiting outside. As soon as he saw me, the man waiting outside the car immediately opened the door for me. Young master, please get in. The luggage was put in the car. As I got into the car, I casually chatted with the man sitting in the driver's seat. Uncle Lee, why are you the one picking me up? Where's the family driver? Uncle Lee chuckled. The small wrinkles at the corners of his eyes made him look even more kind. The car started, slowly merging into the flow of traffic. His voice followed. Young master, you haven't been back in years. When I heard you were coming back today, I volunteered for this task. It seems Uncle Lee missed me. I smiled, a hint of teasing in my eyes. Very quickly, the car stopped in front of the Gu family villa. I got out of the car and walked straight into the B villa. When I pushed the door open, a group of maids was already waiting by the door. Seeing me enter, their voices and actions were perfectly synchronized. Welcome home, young master. I put my hand to my forehead, feeling a bit helpless. Uncle Lai pushed the suitcase over, and a maid took it and carried it upstairs. Seeing my helpless expression, he chuckled and said, the master and madam take rituals very seriously. When they heard you were coming back, they stayed up all night training them for the welcome ceremony. They must be waiting for you in the living room now. I nodded. Although this welcome was a bit extravagant, I didn't say anything to spoil the mood. I just went straight to the living room. As expected, the living room was packed with people. My parents, as well as my uncle and aunt, were all here. I went forward and greeted each of them one by one. Then I sat down next to my parents. Seeing their concerned expressions, the composure I had maintained for so long suddenly shattered. An indescribable sense of grievance welled up inside me. Since I was a child, I was spoiled by all the elders as I grew up, never suffering any hardship, until I hid my identity and went to Chang for training, where I met Wan Shuang. Dating her for 5 years, I gave her my whole sincere heart. At that time, I truly wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I was also certain that, sooner or later, we would become each other's one and only. It's just a pity that, in the end, I almost unknowingly became the lover she kept on the side. A sincere heart was ultimately wasted. My mother noticed my heavy mood and patted my shoulder. Let bygones be bygones. The one thing we are not afraid of is making mistakes. At worst, we can just start over. Our family has no shortage of second chances. Hearing my mother's comforting words, my mood finally eased a little. Seeing this, the others quickly changed the subject. They hurriedly brought out the gifts they had prepared. Taking a look, I realized that what my mother told me on the phone a while ago was not an exaggeration at all. It was even a bit of an understatement. From property deeds to keys, on a thick stack was another long string of keys. The most striking thing was the diamond watch placed in the middle. Made of gold and diamonds, each diamond was incredibly large. Every part of this watch exuded extraordinariness and value, but they still seemed to feel it wasn't enough, trying to fill the table in front of me before they were satisfied. Just as I was about to helplessly say it wasn't necessary, my aunt suddenly slammed the table, her eyes lighting up. Didn't he, Singy? Just break up with someone? As it happens, a friend's daughter of mine recently returned to the country. My friend has been worried for a long time because she hasn't found a boyfriend. How about you two go on a blind date? Just think of it as making a friend. I was stunned and quickly waved my hands, saying I didn't need one. But my aunt wouldn't let me refuse. She directly took out her phone and sent me an account. I met that girl before she went abroad. She's very beautiful. Even if there's no romantic fate between you, it's still good to be friends. Since it was hard to refuse her kindness, I finally agreed to her suggestion. I just didn't expect that. When I opened the account she sent, I discovered that I had been friends with that person for a long time. I clicked to take a look. There was no nickname. The profile picture was a crescent moon in a pitch-black background. I was stunned and thought hard for a long time, but still couldn't remember when I had added her as a friend. I didn't ask either. Pretending nothing was wrong, I turned off my phone screen. After all the answers would naturally be revealed when we meet. Just as I was preparing for a blind date with someone else, on the other side, Wan Shuang had finally returned home. It was already dusk, and the lights in the villa were off. She didn't see the note on the door. She entered the password as usual. After entering it, as she was about to push the door open, she found that the door still wouldn't open. She looked up, a little confused, and only then did she see the note on the door. After all, this will be Mr. Jiang's house from now on. It's better if the password is set to his birthday. Mr. Jiang's house. Jiang Wubai. Her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Could it be that he already knew something? But he and Jiang Wubai had only met once, and no one else could have told him about this. Where could he have found out that she was going to marry Jiang Wubai? Wan Shuang hesitantly entered Jiang Wubai's birth date. The villa's main door opened. She turned on the lights. The villa was empty. She unconsciously called out, "Xinghe." Her voice echoed through the villa, but there was no reply for a long time. It was then that she suddenly remembered that I had gone to Cheng 2 days ago. I rarely left her for so long. Most of the time, I was the one waiting at home for her to return. Or rather, since we started living together, except for this time, every time she came home before, I was always at home waiting for her. Thinking of this, a trace of unease suddenly rose in Wan Shuang's heart. She suddenly felt an emptiness in her heart. Could he have really done it? But on second thought, she dismissed the idea. How could that be? Gu Xinghe loves me so much. It's probably just because I've spent less time with him these past few days that he's overthinking things and accidentally guessed my relationship with Jiang Wubai. But he will definitely come back to me. When that time comes, I'll just have to coax him a little. Thinking this, she rubbed her forehead and walked towards the living room. It seems she'll have to call him later to ask when he's coming back and talk things through with him. But when she got to the living room, before she could even make the call, her eyes were drawn to a stack of paper placed on the living room table. Wan Shuang didn't stop walking, but quickened her pace towards it. Very quickly, she sat down on the sofa and picked up the stack of papers. Not knowing what it was, there was a faint sense of anticipation in her heart. Something from Xinghe? Did he leave it for me to see? I told you so. He's just sulking. How could he really want to leave me? A faint smile curved her lips, but very quickly, as she saw the content on the paper, her smile froze. The top sheet of paper, apart from a line of handwriting, had nothing else on it. Wan Shuang recognized it as my handwriting with a single glance. Flourishing on the page, if you didn't look closely at what was written, you would only find it beautiful. But it was this very handwriting, whose written words were like a sledgehammer, that struck her heart heavily. Wan Shuang, happy wedding, were over. She seemed to hear her own ears ringing. Her mind went blank. She had to look it over carefully several times to finally confirm that she wasn't mistaken. He had indeed written happy wedding, were over. He doesn't want me anymore. He must be joking. How could he not want me? Her hand unconsciously flipped that page and tore it out, crumpled it into a ball, and threw it far away. Because of this action, the contents of the second page were revealed. It was a printout of a chat history screenshot, recorded from the day they became friends. I didn't save a contact name, so Wan Shuang could only see the person's profile picture and nickname. She found it very familiar, because she was also friends with that person. It was Jiang Wubai. The first message was from Jiang Wubai, sent half a month ago. She flipped through page after page, her heart sinking deeper and deeper into an abyss. I heard you're the gigolo that Wan Shuang is keeping on the side. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jiang Wubai. I am her fiancé. I advise you to be smart and leave now. Otherwise, when Wan Shuang and I get married, it will be very embarrassing for you to be kicked out of the villa. As long as I say the word, Wan Shuang will still come to me. We are meeting the family tomorrow. Once we're actually married, what the hell are you? A gigolo who can't be seen in public? So what if she loves you? She kissed me just now. Tell me, how long do you think it'll be before we sleep together, in between? There were occasionally a few photos or a video clip. There were photos of them trying on wedding dresses, photos of them choosing a diamond ring together, and photos of them choosing a wedding venue together. As for that video, he had opened it, taken a screenshot, the most representative frame of the entire video, and also the frame Jiang Wubai wanted him to see the most. It was her and Jiang Wubai, in front of both sets of parents and a group of brothers, kissing passionately. The taut string in her mind suddenly snapped. An unspoken panic surged in her heart. Her face turned a few shades paler, but her mouth kept muttering, "Free words, I don't believe it." She stood up and ran towards the upstairs bedroom, but her legs felt uncontrollably weak. As she went upstairs, she carelessly missed a step, and with a loud thud, her whole body tumbled down the stairs. The sharp pain brought her back to her senses a little. She gritted her teeth, held onto the handrail, and stood up. She dragged herself upstairs again. This time, perhaps because she walked a bit slower, there were no more accidents. She successfully returned to the bedroom. With a single glance, she discovered that only her things were left in the room. All the items related to me had vanished without a trace. Even the photo frame with their picture together, that used to be on both bedside tables. The photo inside it had now vanished. Only the empty frame remained in its original place. Wan Shuang seemed to realize something, and a look of panic flashed in her eyes. Again, she pulled open the wardrobe, and then pulled open the drawers. After taking her things out, those places became empty. The bedroom, the bathroom, the study. She had searched every place in the villa where things related to them could be, but she couldn't find a single item related to him anymore. Recalling the time before when I suddenly said I wanted to do a deep clean, and then threw away all our couple items. At this moment, she finally understood why he did that back then. He was actually that heartless. He didn't even leave her a single memory. The unease in her heart was about to materialize, but she still couldn't believe it. They had been dating for 5 years. He clearly loved her so much. How could he be so cruel as to abandon her like this? She couldn't believe what she was seeing. The only thought left in her mind was to find him and ask him clearly. She didn't even know what she was doing. When she came to her senses, she was back in the living room, and the phone was already ringing with a long dial tone. It rang for a long time, and the other side finally picked up. Perhaps because it was late, he seemed to have been woken from his sleep, and answered without looking to see who was calling. His voice still carried a bit of sleepiness. "Hello, who is this?" "Xingyi, it's me." She spoke with some difficulty, afraid he would hang up, thinking it was a nuisance call. "Where are you? I want to see you. And where are our photos together?" The moment she spoke, my consciousness became fully awake. I picked up my phone, and when I clearly saw the 2 words Wan Shuang on the screen, I heaved a heavy sigh. Miscalculated. I forgot to block her number. While I was silent, Wan Shuang, on the other end, persistently called my name several times, causing a wave of disgust to rise in my heart. "Miss Yi, you're about to get married. You should maintain a necessary distance. Those photos? I think when Mr. Jiang moves into the villa, he won't be happy to see those things, so I burned them all. As for meeting up, I think it's even more unnecessary. You're about to marry someone else. Why would you meet an ex-boyfriend like me?" Hearing me say that all the photos of us together had been burned, Wan Shuang felt as if her heart was bleeding. But what hurt her more was the firm rejection. "Xinghe, I don't agree to break up. What's between me and Jiang Wubai isn't what you think. The person I truly love is only you. How could you just abandon me like this?" By the end of her sentence, I could even hear a sob in her voice. It made me fall silent for a moment. I rarely saw her cry. In 5 years of dating, not counting this time, I had only seen her cry once. It was when we got into that car accident together. She was clearly the one who was more seriously injured, but when she woke up and saw the unavoidable wounds on my body, she still sobbed uncontrollably. You couldn't see any trace of her decisive demeanor in the business world. If a business partner of the Yi family had happened to pass by and see her like that, their jaw would have probably dropped in astonishment. This is the second time. I never denied Wan Shuang's love for me before, but it's precisely because I had seen how Wan Shuang loved me that later, when she used the excuse of dealing with family pressure to agree to a marriage alliance with Jiang Wubai, I could also sensitively perceive that her heart had begun to stray. She probably still loved me very much, but the person she loved was not just me alone, so I would be the first one to be abandoned after her. consideration. Whether it was her own decision to secretly keep me as a lover on the side, or later, during the car accident, when she subconsciously saved Zhang Wubai first, her first choice had long ceased to be me. So at this moment, even hearing her sobs, hearing her grief, my heart no longer felt a single ripple. Wan Shuang, you and I are just breaking up. A breakup doesn't require mutual consent. Besides, if we're talking about abandonment, weren't you the one who gave up on our relationship first? And now you're saying I abandoned you? Furthermore, since we're on this topic, I hope you understand that we have already broken up. In the future, I hope you won't disturb my life anymore. With every word I spoke, Wan Shuang's heart ached a little more. Her lips trembled, her eyes filled with sorrow. Xinghe. She had just called my name. When the phone let out the beep-beep sound of a disconnected call, she froze, about to call back, but found that the call could no longer go through. She had been blocked. Wan Shuang tried other ways to contact me, only to find that after all the messages she sent, they were all accompanied by a red exclamation mark. She slumped onto the sofa, devastated. Her gaze fell on that stack of documents again. She stared at the stack of paper, sadness and anger surging at the same time. She forcefully swept the stack of paper off the table. Page after page flew through the air, with a rustling sound, finally scattering onto the table, the sofa, and the floor. Jiang Wubai. It's all Jiang Wubai's fault. If he hadn't exposed this matter to Gu Xinghe, how could he have left so suddenly and decisively? The last sheet of paper landed in front of her. On it happened to be the last boastful sentence that Jiang Wubai sent me. So what if she loves you? She kissed me just now. Tell me, how long do you think it'll be before we sleep together? Her eyes were heavy as she stared at those words. After a long while, she suddenly let out a sneer. A vicious glint suddenly flashed in her stagnant, pool-like eyes. Jiang Wubai, I told you long ago. The person I like will only be Xinghe, who gave you the nerve to dare go and cause trouble for Xinghe. If you want to get married so badly, then how about I give you a big gift? How about that? I had no idea what Wan Shuang was thinking. I expressionlessly dragged the phone number saved as Wan Shuang to the blacklist. While I was at it, I also dragged all of her other accounts to the blacklist. Only then did I put my phone back and fell into a deep sleep. That night, I slept especially well, because the third day was the day I would start my job at Xinghao Group. As someone who was appointed out of the blue, I woke up very early. I was confident that I could secure my position, but at least on the first day in office, I wouldn't let myself become a topic of gossip. Xinghao Group is considered the Gu family's family enterprise. It has a history of hundreds of years. Its business scope is extremely broad. Before I even took office, the news that Xinghao Group had appointed a young, handsome CEO had already spread throughout high society. At that time, Wan Shuang was with her best friends, drinking at the biggest club in Haicheng. Hearing that Gu Xinghe knew she was marrying someone else, he broke up with Wan Shuang in a fit of anger. No one paid any attention to this matter. He just couldn't accept for a moment that from now on, he could only follow you around without a proper title, so he's just throwing a tantrum and asking to break up. I heard he even quit his job recently. Don't worry. Once he runs out of money, he'll come back sooner or later. Otherwise, who will take care of his gambling father and seriously ill mother? That's right. I've met many gigolos like him. Didn't he want to cling to you before? Now that his beautiful dream is shattered, it's normal that he can't accept it. At most, you just have to coax him a little later. With his status, how could he possibly be your husband? He was just daydreaming. Letting him follow you like this. The life he has is something he wouldn't have dared to dream of before. The mocking words about me echoed endlessly, ringing in my ears. Hearing so much of it, Wan Shuang, who was drinking alone to drown her sorrows, also found it grating. Her expression was dark, and she forcefully threw the wine glass in her hand. The crisp sound of shattering glass echoed as shards flew everywhere, causing the noisy atmosphere to quiet down a bit. Suddenly, her cold voice, laced with iciness, rang out. Have you said enough? The others stared blankly at her expression, not reacting. No one understood what she was angry about. From her words, it seemed like she was defending me. But this wasn't the first time they had talked about me like this. They had even said it many times right in front of her. Wan Shuang had never said anything before, right? So, what does she mean now? Finally, Liu Qianqian, who was standing closest to her, frowned and spoke first to break the dead silence. But her words showed no regard for her anger, only thinking that she was complaining about them being too noisy. She chuckled twice, her gaze towards Wan Shuang carrying a hint of teasing. What's wrong? Is Sister Wan Shuang still unhappy? We know you care about him a little, don't worry. How could he really leave a cash cow like you? Believe it or not, in less than half a month, he will definitely give in to you. At that point, won't you be able to say whatever you want? But as soon as the words left her mouth, she looked up at Liu Qianqian. Her eyes were fierce, her voice as cold as ice. Apologize. Liu Qianqian was stunned, not understanding what she meant. Her voice rang out again. Apologize to him. It wasn't until this moment that Liu Qianqian finally understood that she was actually making a scene because they were looking down on me. Sister Wan Shuang, why are you getting so worked up? Besides, we weren't wrong. Him, a dirt poor guy clinging to you, isn't it for the money? When we said it before, You didn't object either. Hearing Liu Qianqian's words, Wan Shuang was suddenly stunned. The gloom in her eyes dissipated, eventually turning into confusion. So they had said such things many times before? So whenever this situation arose before, she had always chosen to tolerate it. She searched her memory, trying to find evidence to refute it, only to discover that she wasn't wrong. It wasn't the first time they had belittled me like that, and she, whether I wasn't present or was present but they spoke French, had always chosen to acquiesce. Only when they said it directly to my face did she stop them a little. But how could that prevention be considered proof? It was merely a reluctant pretense she put on in front of me. As for her previous acquiescence, that was what she truly thought. Thinking of this, she was suddenly at a loss for words, not knowing what to say. She could only drink herself into a stupor, one glass after another. But at the same time, a glimmer of hope couldn't help but rise in Wan Shuang's heart. That's right, he still has a gambling father and a seriously ill mother, and now he's unemployed. Perhaps in a little while, he really will come back to her side. And at this moment, the others didn't want to push their luck with her anymore and change the subject. Recently, Shanghai Group has a newly appointed CEO. Have you guys heard anything? I heard it's the young master of the Gu family. There's been no news of him in recent years because he wanted to train on his own outside. He just returned, and they immediately handed Shanghai Group over to him. Anyway, the Gu family only has young Master Gu as their son, so all those assets will eventually fall into his hands. Even if he was appointed out of the blue, he was probably groomed from an early age to take the position directly. You guys tell me. They both have the surname Gu, so why is the gap between people so huge? Wan Shuang wasn't interested in this topic, so she didn't join in. She just sat alone in a corner, the empty wine bottles in front of her, piling up. She wasn't listening carefully, so naturally she didn't hear them say, "A few years ago, the young master of the Gu family went out to train and only recently returned home," so she didn't think that perhaps the words written on the note "I left" for her when I left were all true. By the time the party ended, it was late at night. Wan Shuang had drunk too much wine, and her steps became unsteady. Liu Qianqian and the others saw her unstable state and really didn't feel comfortable letting her go back alone. They could only call Jiang Wubai. By the time he rushed over, only Liu Qianqian was left beside Wan Shuang. Seeing him arrive, she quickly handed Wan Shuang over to him. "Brother-in-law, I'll leave Sister Wan Shuang to you. You have to take Sister Wan Shuang home safely." As she spoke, she even gave him a meaningful glance. She took her car keys and walked straight out of the private room, leaving only Wan Shuang, who was drunk to the point of unconsciousness, and Jiang Wubai. He didn't take her to the family villa, but went straight to his own villa. After much difficulty getting into the room, he tossed her onto the soft bed. He thoughtfully wiped her face, and finally, carefully lay down beside her. "Wan Shuang, we're getting married soon anyway. It's just a little earlier." The woman beside him, not knowing if she had actually heard his words, actually pulled him into an embrace, her head buried in his shoulder and neck, her hot breath fanning out, landing on his neck, causing his body to tremble uncontrollably. The temperature in the room seemed to be rising with the ambiguous atmosphere. But in the next second, the name she called out successfully made his heart, which was about to leap out of his chest, immediately returned to its original place. Singhi. She didn't make any other moves, just held him tightly in her arms, as if the moment she let go, he would disappear once again. Jiang Wubai lay quietly in her arms, not making any other moves, but a vicious glint flashed in his eyes. "Gu Xinghe. It's Gu Xinghe again. It would be great if he could just disappear from this world." The next day, Wan Shuang woke up from her drunken stupor, only to feel a splitting headache. She was about to raise her hand to massage it, but suddenly realized there seemed to be someone in her arms. She looked down, but only saw a head of exquisitely permed hair. Before her brain could react, the name had already slipped out, Singhi. But as soon as she said it, she realized something was wrong, and a bad premonition arose in her heart. She used the strength in her arms and forcefully pushed the person away. Jiang Wubai, who was sound asleep, was pushed off the bed, followed by a thud as he hit the ground. He was now completely awake. As soon as he looked up, he saw Wan Shuang with a dark expression. "Why are you here?" Her cold, emotionless voice instantly made him feel extremely wronged. He pursed his lips, his eyes welling up with tears. Tears glistened, about to fall, but not falling. He looked extremely pitiful. If the person in front of him right now were someone else, perhaps seeing him like this would have softened their heart. Or if it were the Wan Shuang from before she broke up with me, she probably wouldn't have been so cold to him. But ironically, the person seeing him like this now was the Wan Shuang who had seen how he provoked me, causing me to break up with her. Jiang Wubai saw that she was still unmoved, and her expression had even grown darker. So he quickly suppressed his grievances and explained, "You were drunk last night, and you wouldn't let me go to your villa, so I had no choice but to bring you to my house." Hearing this, Wan Shuang finally realized she hadn't noticed earlier because she was angry that this room wasn't hers. Her expression softened a little, but her wariness towards him didn't lessen at all. "Then why were you sleeping with me?" As soon as the words were out, she saw a blush creep across his face. I was originally going to settle you in and then go to the guest room. It's just that you kept holding on to me and wouldn't let go." His hesitant appearance made her gaze deepen. It was unclear how much of his story she believed. Jiang Wubai only saw her suddenly stand up, giving him a cold glance before leaving the room. "Jiang Wubai, cut out your petty tricks. We are getting married, but it's only because you are obedient and easy for my parents to deal with. If there's a next time, I don't mind changing the person." Jiang Wubei's expression turned ugly. Watching her departing figure, he almost ground his teeth to dust. Zi Cheng. The Gu residence. I looked at another unknown number calling on my phone, and for the first time, felt that Wan Shuang was like a piece of dogskin plaster that couldn't be removed. Extremely annoying. I blocked her a while ago, and it was quiet for some time after that. Recently, I don't know what's gotten into her. I block one number, and she just changes to another to keep calling me. After hanging up and blocking this number again, the continuous calls finally paused. I let out a small sigh of relief, silenced my phone, and placed it face down on the table. I finally had time to carefully look at the document in front of me. This project was the first major one I took on. After coming to Shanghai, if I could complete this project successfully, I would be considered to have secured my position in Shanghai's senior management. At that time, I didn't hesitate to take on this project, but after accepting it, I discovered that among the bidders, Wan Shuang had suddenly appeared. I am not afraid of a direct confrontation with Wan Shuang. I just don't quite understand what Wan Shuang's action is all about. The Yi family's foundation is in Haicheng, so for her to suddenly get involved in a project in Zicheng, could it be because of him? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but let out a derisive laugh. Does Wan Shuang think this is some kind of deeply affectionate gesture? On one hand, she's preparing a wedding with one man. On the other, she's endlessly entangled with another man, playing both sides so blatantly, and she still dares to tell me that she and Jiang Wubai are not what I think. But even if she really doesn't love Jiang Wubai, so what? In the end, Jiang Wubai is still the marriage partner she chose herself after agreeing to it. Even if I weren't the only son of the richest man, she shouldn't have decided on her own to turn me from her official boyfriend into a lover she keeps on the side. This bidding war was extremely fierce. Not only Shanghai and the Yi family were participating, but more than half of the top families in Shangcheng also joined in. Of course, people from other cities, like Wan Shuang, were not few. Because there were so many people, the organizer directly held a party, inviting all the corporations participating in the bid. When Aunt Go brought the invitation, she even gave me a mysterious wink. I looked at her meaningful gaze and thought I had missed some important information. Looking at her with a puzzled expression, "Auntie, is there something else?" As soon as Aunt Gu heard that, she shot me a glance. Seeing that I seemed to have completely forgotten about the matter we discussed a few days ago, she stopped being cryptic with me. She took a step forward and slapped me hard on the shoulder. "Oh my, didn't I tell you a while ago to meet my friend's daughter? That girl was extremely busy recently. She didn't have any free time." What a coincidence. She's also going to this bidding event. It's a good chance for you two to go together. Hearing it was a blind date, I was immediately a bit speechless. On top of that, with this kind of meeting occasion, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Auntie, we're both going to the bid this time, so doesn't that make us competitors? Having competitors go on a blind date at the bidding venue? You're truly the first," I said, giving her a thumbs up. But Aunt Gu didn't care at all. "So what? You're rivals in business, but that's not necessarily the case in real life. Besides, if you meet beforehand, using a honey trap is also good. I've already asked around. Although that girl has never been in a relationship, she once liked a boy. I heard he's the same type as you." I was stunned when I heard that, and then I remembered that last time. After discovering I had been friends with that person for a long time, because I skipped the friend request step, I later forgot to even chat. As time went by, I naturally forgot about this blind date. Now that Aunt Gu reminded me like this, I finally remembered that person. The person she likes is my type, and we've been friends for a long time. Could it be that this girl initially friended me because of this? I frowned, and my favorable impression of her immediately dropped a few points. Now it seems she's not like someone who truly doesn't want a boyfriend, just someone who can't let go of the person in her heart. If I get involved in this situation, wouldn't I be willingly becoming a substitute? I didn't mention this to Aunt Gu. After all, she didn't know about it. I just smiled to brush it off and took the invitation card. As for the meeting my aunt mentioned, I no longer had any interest in it. I just didn't expect that. I thought my silence was a polite refusal, but in Aunt Gu's eyes, it became a tacit agreement. On the day of the bidding, she was as fast as lightning and directly had a driver wait outside the Gu family villa. "Hello, Mr. Ju." A woman in a channel dress saw me come out and quickly approached, but I just stood in front of her, not taking another step. "I still haven't asked for your name," I said indifferently. She was stunned and lowered her eyes to hide the loneliness within them. She was silent for a moment before answering. "My surname is Song Ruan. After getting the answer, I didn't continue the standoff with her. When she gestured to get in the car again, I obediently sat in the passenger seat until the car door closed. I don't know if it was out of anger or for some other reason. I silently stopped talking to her. Looking at the scenery outside the window, I found myself unconsciously repeating the three words, Song Ruan. I had no particular impression of this name, Just that, it felt inexplicably familiar. I quietly turned my head to look at her, and saw she was just focused on driving. I wanted to say something but didn't know how to start. After much hesitation, I ended up saying nothing. The car quickly stopped in front of the banquet hall. Song, Ruan, and I got out of the car. I had originally intended to go straight inside, but after walking a short distance forward, she was still standing behind. I turned my head to look, only to see her standing there, blankly, with a slightly dazed expression. "What's wrong?" I asked, puzzled. She pursed her lips and looked straight at me. Other people and their dates all enter arm in arm. I don't know why. Although there wasn't a ripple on Song Ruan's face, I could sense a trace of feeling wronged on her face. I cleared my throat softly, and somewhat reluctantly walked over to link arms with her. Together, we walked towards the banquet hall. As we approached the door, I couldn't help but ask, "Did we know each other before?" The moment she heard my question, a flash of disappointment passed through Song Ruan's eyes. He really doesn't remember anything about me. Just as I thought she wouldn't answer this question, she took a deep breath, breaking the dead silence. "We were high school classmates. It's just that I was always the one sitting in the corner. She was lonely and quiet, always the easiest person to overlook in class. Even her parents, the Songs, were busy with work all year round and had no time to care for her. Back then, because Song Ruan spent every day immersed in her own world, she reacted indifferently to classmates who came to talk. Therefore, although she was by no means plain-looking, not many people remembered her, just like me next to her now. She had liked me for a very long time, ever since the first time I approached her. Unlike others who just gave a perfunctory greeting and never contacted her again. And I wouldn't ignore her because of her silence back then. No matter the issue, whatever was happening, I would seriously ask for the opinions of all classmates, including her. I became the person who appeared in her life, the one who talked to her the most. I also became the only light in her life. But later, she hated her own shyness and silence countless times, which made her only dare to, at graduation, use the only information in the yearbook to friend me. But she never once initiated a conversation with me, because she felt that an ordinary person like her was not worthy of me. Even later, she studied abroad while undergoing psychological treatment. The first time she gathered the courage to ask about me, she received news that I already had a girlfriend. At that time, she thought, as long as I was happy, she would be fine with being a passerby in my life forever. She had almost given up, but then she heard the news that I had broken up with my girlfriend. Therefore, she came back. It wasn't until this moment, hearing this explanation from Song Ruan, that I finally found in a corner of my memory the fragmented memories related to her. But thinking about the quiet classmate from the past, and then looking at the woman who was now participating in the party, negotiating cooperation so naturally, I still can't quite believe it. I couldn't help but sigh with emotion. "We haven't seen each other in a few years. You've changed so much. You've become more beautiful." Hearing my last sentence, she couldn't help but blush to the tips of her ears. The banquet hall was very lively. Many people came to participate in the bidding. Not long after we entered the banquet hall, another man and woman walked in. I only heard the commotion and reflexively turned my head to look at the entrance. I didn't expect to lock eyes directly with the newcomers. Xing he. The synchronized cry of surprise attracted the attention of others in the banquet hall. Everyone's gaze turned towards the entrance of the hall. As for me, the one forced to receive the attention, I frowned. The Yi family and the Jiang family are top families in Haicheng. After all, so why are Wan Shuang and Jiang Wubei coming to a party in Hucheng and making such a scene? They have none of the etiquette and composure of a great family. Fearing getting involved with them, I paid no attention to the two behind me and instead turned to link arms with Song Ruan. Quickly walking deeper into the hall, behind me, Wan Shuang was first surprised as to why I appeared here. Then she saw me with my arm linked, with the woman beside me, walking straight ahead. In an instant, anger made her lose her mind. It made her completely ignore Jiang Wubei right next to her, and she hurriedly chased after us, questioning loudly, "Xing he, who is she? Why are you with her?" When Jiang Wubei hurriedly followed, what he heard was Wan Shuang's question, filled with jealousy. Jiang Wubei said nothing, his eyes darting back and forth between the two of us with our arms linked. After a moment, his face filled with mockery. What else could it be? After breaking up with you, he must have latched onto someone else. Otherwise, with his status, how could he possibly get into this bidding party? He spoke with great certainty, completely oblivious to Wan Shuang's darkened expression, as well as the strange looks the people around were giving him. The Gu family is the richest family in Hucheng. I am the only son of the richest man. Do I need to latch onto someone else to get into a party? Where on earth did these two strangers come from? If even the son of the richest man needs to latch onto someone else to participate in the bidding, then who else here would be qualified? But since there was a good show to watch, no one bothered to remind them. In the crowd, I had just frowned when Song Ruan beside me's face turned cold as she reached out and grabbed Wan Shuang's wrist. The next second, Wan Shuang felt a great force coming from her wrist. Perhaps not expecting Song Ruan to suddenly make a move, she was caught off guard and almost cried out in pain. Seeing that she still refused to let go of my hand, Song Ruin's emotionless voice rang out. Let go. The cold voice made Wan Shuang shudder involuntarily. She looked up at the man in front of her, and her expression became even uglier. Seeing her embarrassment at this moment, Jiang Wu Bai couldn't help but feel a little heartbroken. He immediately pointed at Song Ruin's nose and scolded her. Do you know who we are? How dare you treat us like this? Believe it or not, it'll make sure you won't have it easy. Although Wan Shuang said nothing, looking at the malicious glint in her eyes, plus the fact that she never once stopped Jiang Wu Bai's nonsense, I knew her thoughts were exactly the same as Jiang Wu Bai's at this moment. I sneered, first patting Song Ruin's hand, signaling for her to let go. Although Song Ruin was a bit reluctant, seeing me nod at her, she obediently let go. Seeing our reaction, Wan Shuang's expression finally eased a little. Even Jiang Wu Bai thought we were scared and had given in. He put on an affectionate look and was about to speak, when in the next second, I took off the brooch I was wearing, and without hesitation, stabbed it into her hand. Wan Shuang was still convinced that I wouldn't dare to actually do it. After all, I loved her so much. How could I bear to hurt her? It must just be an act to scare her. Xing he. I know. But she had just started speaking. When the brooch stabbed hard into the back of her hand, the sudden sharp pain made her hand lose all its strength, and she let go of her grip on me. I took the opportunity to step back, dodging Jiang Wu Bai's incoming punch, and then a slapping sound rang out as a slap landed squarely on his face, on Jiang Wu Bai's face. A clear handprint immediately appeared. He couldn't believe his eyes, never thinking I would dare to strike him. Xing he, you. In contrast to his frantic anger, my expression was very calm, as if I hadn't just slapped Jiang Wu Bai, but had simply greeted them. I handed Song Ruin a tissue, then leisurely took another and wiped my wrist. The way I looked at him was both condescending and somewhat mocking. Is he supposed to be someone important? The smirk on my lips made Wan Shuang's eyes red with anger, but all her anger gradually cooled down because of my next words. Two fools coming to an auction, without even knowing who their rival is. Bidding rival. Wan Shuang and Jiang Wu Bai recalled the documents they had received, looked closely at the person in front of them, and finally connected Song Ruin with the person in the documents, the second daughter of the Song family, the clan second only to the richest Gu family in Zicheng. Although the Yi and Jiang families are top tier in Haicheng, they are nothing in front of the Gu and Song families. At this moment, besides the two words let go at the beginning, Song Ruin, who had been silent until now, finally spoke again. Instead of asking if I know who you are, you should ask the person next to you who we are. Those two words instantly stunned Wan Shuang and Jiang Wu Bai. So what she meant was, not just her, but I also came to participate in the bidding. The other bidding participants were clearly not me, so the only one left could only be the young master of the Gu family, the only son of the richest man in Hucheng. Realizing this, the faces of Wan Shuang and Jiang Wu Bai suddenly turned pale. Looking around, the crowd around them all wore expressions of watching a good show. At this moment, how could the two of them not understand that they were the clowns being watched? Wan Shuang's face turned pale then red, and she no longer had the mind to participate in the auction. She wretchedly and hurriedly left the banquet hall. Seeing her leave, Jiang Wu Bai gave me a hateful glare and also scrambled after her. I saw his hateful gaze, but I paid him no mind. After all, this wasn't the first time Jiang Wu Bai had hated me. Jiang Wu Bai's only backing is the Jiang family and the illusory marriage alliance with Wan Shuang. Wan Shuang could agree to an alliance marriage with Jiang Wu Bai while she was still in love with me, so when the benefits Jiang Wu Bai could bring her dwindled, she would naturally abandon Jiang Wu Bai for someone else. As for the Jiang family, I don't even need to make a move. As long as the Jiang family finds out that the person Jiang Wu Bai offended is the Gu family, the first ones to abandon him will be the Jiang family. But right now, for me, the most important thing is this auction. Just as this drama ended, the organizer finally appeared. He glanced at the two who had already gotten into a car and fled for their lives, said nothing, and just silently crossed their names off in his mind. The bidding process was tense and dramatic, but in the end, I still won the project. On the way back, it was still Song Ruin who drove me home. The car drove straight ahead. This time, the one who broke the silence was Song Ruin. Do you still like her? She asked suddenly, and I was stunned for a moment before realizing who she was talking about. I was immediately speechless. How did you come to that conclusion? I thought you agreed to the blind date because you knew she would be there, so you brought me along to provoke her. After all, when we first met, my attitude wasn't exactly friendly. Although my attitude towards Wan Shuang later wasn't friendly either, she still couldn't help but think, if I didn't remember her and was a little resistant when we first met, then why did I agree to the blind date? It was my aunt's suggestion. I just came to see. But I don't have the habit of pining for one person while getting close to another. My requirement for a partner is loyalty. Therefore, I hold myself to the same standard. Perhaps because of what happened at the party that brought us closer. I now answered her question with great patience. The two of us made small talk, and the car soon stopped in front of the Gu family mansion. I waved goodbye to her, then turned and walked into the mansion. As I neared the door, my steps suddenly halted. I turned and looked back, only to see her car still parked in the same spot, showing no signs of starting. I walked back towards her, and the car window rolled down just in time. She blinked, looking at me with a slightly dazed and confused expression. "Mr. Gu, is there something else? We're classmates. There's no need to be so formal. From now on, you can just call me Xing He." Sensing the hesitation in her address, I smiled. But I only agreed to the blind date because of my aunt. I didn't actually intend to start a new relationship. So, for now, let's just treat each other as friends. After saying that, I waved to her again, truly greeting her like a normal friend. Drive home safely. Watching my figure gradually disappear behind the mansion gate, a faint smile appeared on her face. Song Ruan has waited for so many years, she naturally doesn't mind waiting a little longer, just as I said. For now, we're just friends. Besides, to be able to go from strangers to friends, she was already very content that night. Unlike the two in Haicheng who tossed and turned all night, Song Ruan and I both slept very well. It wasn't until the next morning that I was woken up by the continuous ringing of my phone. I groggily opened my eyes, only to find my social media account had crashed from being flooded. The notification sounds kept dinging, and a quick glance showed it was all malicious insults. Just then, a call came from a Haicheng number. I answered the phone, and learned it was a friend ID known for several years in Haicheng. "Xing He, have you seen the talk online? Those netizens are so fickle. They believe whatever people say. They're even spreading rumors about the son of the richest man being someone else's third wheel. You should clarify it quickly, so those who slandered you can get the punishment they deserve." Zhang Jun didn't even have time to breathe, as he fired off a whole barrage of words. His rapid breathing clearly showed his indignation. Listening to his explanation, I finally understood the whole story. It turns out that after Jiang Wubai returned to Haicheng yesterday, he still couldn't get over the anger from the party, and using the fact that he was engaged to Wan Shuang, he twisted the truth, claiming I had interfered in his and Wan Shuang's relationship. He even released evidence that after their engagement, Wan Shuang was still living with me. Originally, netizens didn't believe that a son of the richest man would interfere in someone else's relationship, but Jiang Wubei released evidence, and even Wan Shuang's group of close friends all testified, saying I was the one who interfered. And so, netizens, who caught wind of the big gossip in the middle of the night, believed it to be true. They went straight to my social media account and began their frantic attack. "Your family is so rich? Didn't anyone teach you to have morals, not to interfere in other people's families? And you're the son of the richest man. To do something like this is truly morally corrupt and shameless." Among the insults, there were also people fishing in troubled waters who found my account and spewed filthy language. The words were crude and vulgar, truly unbearable to look at. Of course, there were some rational netizens who said they should wait for my response first. At least, you can't just believe one side of the story. It's just that, under such comments, most of the replies were also similar insults. "Ill handle it. Did you forget I am the only son of the richest man? The company's legal department is NT just for show. He dared to make things up, so he must have been prepared to face the final consequences." Hearing my confident tone, Zhang Jun finally breathed a sigh of relief. He comforted me with a few more words before hanging up. After hanging up, I went back online to see how far the situation had developed. When I saw those malicious insults, it would be a lie to say I wasn't angry at all. It's just that I didn't quite understand. They used to look down on me because they thought my poor family background wasn't worthy of Wan Shuang. Now that even netizens know my identity as the son of the richest man, where on earth did they get the nerve to slander me along with Jiang Wubai? My face was cold as I took screenshots of the comments online. Just then, the phone rang insistently again. It was an unknown number. After a moment's hesitation, I still answered the phone. "Xing He, are you okay now? Don't pay attention to the words online. I know you didn't do those things, and don't get angry because of it. I believe Father and Mother Gu have already handled this. If you need my help with anything, just ask me." Hearing the gentleness and concern in Song Ruan's voice, I felt the suppressed frustration in my heart dissipate. I chuckled lightly, and then said, "It's okay, I am not that fragile. It's just a rumor. I can handle it myself." Seeing that I was still in a good mood, Song Ruan's anxious heart finally settled down. She didn't want to hang up, but she didn't know what else she could say at this moment. A long silence fell on both ends of the line. In the prolonged silence, through the phone screen, it seemed we could even hear each other's soft breathing. In the end, it was I who took the initiative to break this silence. "Song Ruan, thank you. Although I won't be affected by those baseless rumors. Thank you for your concern." I silently added the last sentence in my heart, and then quickly hung up the phone. On the other side, Song Ruan held the disconnected phone, only feeling that time passed so quickly. If only it could stop at that moment forever. Just like that, the two people on opposite ends of the line, in a quiet world, silently listened to each other's breathing. For her, that was enough. When Father and Mother Gu first heard that I was being cyberbullied, they were so angry they started cursing loudly. They almost went to find Wan Shuang and Jiang Wubai personally, and their gang of wicked friends to start a fight. A bastard and a bitch. They really don't know their own limits, daring to slander my son. Truly, A newborn calf does not fear the tiger, daring to provoke our Gu family. Mother Gu, hearing Father Gus' words, just rolled her eyes. Directly. What newborn calf? In my opinion, they're just a pair of. I had a very hard time placating Father and Mother Gus' anger. Seeing them like this, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. All right, Mom, Dad, don't worry. I won't let them bully me for no reason. They dared to make things up, so they must be prepared to pay the price. The Jiang family residence. Haicheng. Wan Shuang's face was gloomy as she looked at the miserably crying Jiang Wu Bai. Only disgust remained in her eyes. Haven, I told you, you'd best get rid of those little schemes of yours. I originally thought you still had some use and planned to keep you around. You really are bold, contacting Liu Qian and the others directly to slander Xing He. It seems I've been too kind to you. She squeezed his chin, forcing him to look up. He kept shaking his head, but it didn't earn him her pity. Wan Shuang. He's clearly the son of the richest man, yet he deceived you for 5 years, claiming his family was poor. Now we've offended him. Do you really think he still has feelings for you? Instead of waiting for him to take revenge later, why don't we cooperate to completely bring down the Gu family? Hearing his words, the force in Wan Shuang's hand finally loosened a bit. That's right. He's clearly the son of the richest man, yet he hid it from her for 5 years. If she had known earlier that he was the son of the richest man, she wouldn't have needed to enter a marriage alliance with someone else. She didn't look down on the fake identity he made up and was even willing to keep him by her side. But what about him? He used this opportunity to completely dump her and even made her suffer such a huge loss. So why should she protect his noble status? Just let him fall with her and then wait until he has no way out. Wouldn't it be better if he had to come back and rely on her? After all, when he left, he threw away or burned everything related to the two of them. Burned it all. As long as they hold on tight and don't let go, wouldn't he be branded as the third wheel? Wan Shuang released her grip on Jiang Wu Bei's chin, and when she looked at him, there was finally a hint of satisfaction in her eyes. Then you'll have to work harder. You must completely drag him down from his position as the richest. After speaking, she didn't stay any longer, but turned and left Jiang Wu Bei's mansion. The roar of the car engine faded into the distance, and the resentment in Jiang Wu Bei's eyes deepened. What he did was not an impulsive act. Ever since returning from Hucheng this time, knowing he had ruined the bid and also offended the son of the richest man, the Jiang family had decisively abandoned Jiang Wu Bai. He originally wanted to rely on the marriage with Wan Shuang to secure his position in the Jiang family, but as soon as he mentioned it, Father and Mother Jiang slapped him across the face. You still dare to mention marrying Wan Shuang? She just came back today to find us and call off the engagement. You can't even hold on to one woman. Tell me yourself, what use are you after all? It was only then that Jiang Wu Bai realized he had been abandoned by everyone. But why? Guxing He. Because of you. I was abandoned by the Jiang family and despised by Wan Shuang. On what grounds can you still look down on me from your high horse? He poured all his resentment onto me, dragging Liu Qian and Wan Shuang along, taking a gamble, hoping for one last struggle. They all naively believed that as long as they erased the past between me and Wan Shuang, then even if I presented 5 years of evidence of our love, they could forge even earlier evidence to mislead public opinion until I directly released 2 surveillance video clips and the chat history that Jiang Wu Bai sent to provoke me back then. The video was a conversation from a month ago when they spoke in a foreign language right in front of me. Although the voices of the people in the camera were slightly distorted, the meaning of their words was still conveyed very clearly. Wan Shuang got engaged to someone else behind my back and even planned, in the name of love, to keep me by her side as a lover. There was another surveillance video of the scene where Jiang Wu Bai confronted me outside the restroom. In the video, you can clearly hear that when I said Wan Shuang and I had been dating for 5 years. So if we were talking about who the third wheel was, it had to be Jiang Wu Bai. He, besides being helplessly angry, did not refute it at all. If I were really the third wheel, with Jiang Wu Bei's personality, he would have refuted it right then and there. Plus, the things he later ran over to say, showing off in front of the official boyfriend, no matter how you look at it, doesn't sound like something the wronged party would say. Instead, it's more like the logic that the one who isn't loved is the third wheel. In reality, he himself knew he was the one who intruded, which is why he said such things. The tables turned instantly. However badly the netizens had cursed me before, now the backlash was just as strong. Wan Shuang and Jiang Wu Bai were being cursed just as miserably. As the self-proclaimed crusaders of justice flooded Wan Shuang's and Jiang Wu Bei's Weibo to curse them wildly, I directly filed a lawsuit, suing the netizens who had cursed me in my comments and received many likes, along with those who took the opportunity to slander me, plus Jiang Wu Bei's and Wan Shuang's group of friends. All of them were sued. I didn't personally follow up on what happened next, but gave full authority to Shangxi's legal department to handle it. When I logged back into my social media account, the comment section was finally much cleaner. Occasionally, a few clowns who popped up were quickly muted. After waiting for the mute period to end, just as they were about to continue their wild talk, they found a court summons in their inbox. This time, They finally behaved completely. As for the well-intentioned and comforting comments, I also posted a separate Weibo post. Heaven's net is vast. Though its mesh is wide, nothing escapes it. Only those with a guilty conscience fear rumors. As for me, I just used the law to protect my legitimate rights. Jiang Wu was completely abandoned. I didn't pay much attention to what happened after. I believe that with the capabilities of Shang Shi's legal department, they could definitely make them pay the appropriate price. It's just that when I heard that on the day Jiang Wu was taken to court, he couldn't even find a single lawyer willing to defend him, I still felt a bit emotional. Actually, if Jiang Wu hadn't sought death in front of me, he could have maintained a superficial peace with Wan Shuang, becoming a typical wealthy couple in an arranged marriage. But he didn't know when to stop. When I was still with Wan Shuang, he wanted to drive me away. I had already left, yet he dumped all the grievances he suffered onto my head, determined to stomp me under his foot, and in the end, he received this outcome, including Wan Shuang's group of friends led by Liu Qian, always fawning over the powerful and trampling the weak, believing that background determines everything. Later, when they realized there was no room for reconciliation with them, they embarked on the path of colluding with Jiang Wu and ended up being sued together. Was it really necessary? In contrast, the central character of this farce, Wan Shuang, because she had never posted any related statements and only remained silent, actually managed to distance herself from the matter. The day this matter temporarily settled down, a representative from the legal department came to see me once to report the results to me. Because the circumstances were serious, that group of people still shouted in court that they were not wrong. Their attitude towards admitting fault was terrible. Plus, I refused to reconcile. In the end, they were all sentenced to 2 years in prison. Afterwards, netizens all joked that the sight of a group of rich kids crying while being sent to prison was truly a rare sight, perhaps one that you'd only see once in a lifetime. After learning their final verdict, I no longer cared about what happened afterwards. It's just that I never expected that Wan Shuang would come looking for me again. At that time, I was discussing with Song Ruan where to eat after work, when the receptionist's internal phone rang. President Gu, a missy wants to see you. When I heard this, I was stunned for a moment. I glanced at Song Ruan beside me, who in just 1 month had suppressed the Yi group until it was a shadow of its former self. I pondered for a moment, then still agreed. I was also very curious. In a situation where both sides had completely torn all pretense apart, what could she possibly want from me? I thought Wan Shuang must not be doing well right now, but the moment I actually saw her, I was still stunned for a moment. Having not seen her for just a few months, I almost didn't recognize that the bone-thin woman with a haggard face, who looked at least 10 years older in front of my desk, was the same beautiful and charming Wan Shuang from not long ago. But I was only surprised for a fleeting moment and quickly returned to a look of distant refusal that keeps others 1,000 miles away. As for Wan Shuang, she looked at Song Ruan sitting next to me, seemingly not expecting her to be here as well. Her breathing unconsciously became chaotic for a moment, but she also knew that she no longer had any right to speak in front of me. Her face was full of sorrow, begging for my last bit of pity. Xing, I know I wronged you before, but I never really deceived you. From beginning to end, I only loved you. Please, for the sake of our past feelings, spare the Yi group. Her posture was very humble, completely different from the arrogance that, when we were dating, she tried to suppress, but would still reveal itself in every aspect. But I held out my hands, shook my head, and then pointed to Song Ruan beside me. The one who wants to suppress the Yi group isn't me. Why don't you beg her? I chuckled. My face was still smiling, but the smile didn't reach my eyes. Besides, Wan Shuang, our past feelings, weren't they already completely exhausted by you long ago? When you got engaged to someone else behind my back, planning to just keep me as a lover on the side, when you used a foreign language with your group of friends to freely mock and belittle me, without ever thinking of speaking up to stop them. When Jiang Wu and your friends made up stories about me, you calmly acted as if nothing had happened, and now you come running to me talking about past feelings. So at those times, why didn't you remember that we had feelings for each other? As soon as these words were spoken, Wan Shuang's face instantly turned pale. At this moment, she only felt a bitterness in her throat, making it difficult to even swallow. Xing, I know I was wrong. I am sorry, but if this continues, the Yi group really can't hold on any longer. I still shrugged nonchalantly. If the Yi group can't hold on, what does that have to do with me? Wan Shuang, they have all paid the price for what they did. What makes you think that your simple apology can cleanly separate you from all this? But I never did those things to you. Her face was full of anxiety, trying to justify herself. But she saw that as soon as I finished speaking, I couldn't even be bothered to maintain that fake smile anymore. You didn't do it. You just stood by and watched coldly. Wan Shuang, a bystander like you, is the most detestable of all. Looking at the woman in front of me, the disgust in my eyes was unconcealed. Wan Shuang, it's precisely because you stood by and watched that your friends spoke so maliciously to me. It's precisely because you tacitly approved that you gave Jiang Wu the chance to hurt me time and time again. Now you're saying you didn't do it. Fine, you say you didn't do it. Il also say I am not suppressing the Yi group. The matter with the Yi group, I can't help. After speaking, I raised my voice. See our guest out. In response, the office door was pushed open. On their face was a very proper smile. This way, please. President Yi. She still wanted to say something, but I had already pulled Song Ron and walked straight past her and out the door. After all, I am the president. No one will mind if I skip work for a bit occasionally. As for the person in the office, someone will be watching to see her out, so there won't be any problems. So, what should we eat? Western food or a home-cooked meal? I haven't had it in a while. I am kind of craving a home-cooked meal. A home-cooked meal it is. Then, I'll listen to you. Song Ruin's eyes crinkled, completely different from the shy and introverted look she had when we first met. She turned her head and raised an eyebrow at me. Why are you so obedient to me? I suddenly stopped walking. When I looked at her, her incredibly solemn gaze made my heart skip a beat. Just as I was about to change the subject and move on, her voice caught up from behind. Because, Xing-hee, I like you. Her confession was a bit sudden, yet somewhat within my expectations. I stopped in my tracks. When I turned back to look at her, I couldn't help but sigh. But I know, you've said, that you don't want to accept a new relationship right now. So, when you do want to accept one, can I be the first? Her eyes sparkled like the Milky Way. I looked at the sparkling light in her eyes, and couldn't bring myself to say no. I pursed my lips, and gave a slight smile. Since you're so sincere, then I'll reluctantly agree. She also responded with a smile, ignoring the word reluctantly in my words, and followed her heart to hug me. Song Ruan had waited through many lonely winters and summers. She firmly believed that in the next cycle of seasons, loneliness would no longer accompany her.